If they mean the end of a continuation of sequels from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, then yeah, the end truly began. Hello everyone, welcome to the Ginger Snaps here. My name is Steven, and to continue on with the Terminator franchise, we will take a look at Terminator Salvation, which was released in 2009, starring Christian Bale and Sam Worthington and a bunch of other actors who, shockingly enough, are in this movie. Now, this is the fourth installment of the Terminator franchise, and of course, a lot of people were a little excited with this one after the ending we got at the end of Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines, where Judgment Day has finally come and the machines are about to rise. So, with this movie back in 2009, I was really excited no matter what because it was another Terminator movie. And, you know, even hearing the rumbles that Christian Bale was going to be playing John Connor, I thought, perfect, that's amazing. And after seeing the movie initially in theaters, I was one of those guys who decided to say, yeah, this is a good movie, I fucking loved it. Oh, it was a blast. Many years have now gone by where this is now, quite frankly, one of those movies that if you're watching the Terminator franchise, you tend to just ignore this one. Why is that? Well, let's talk about it. This is my review on Terminator Salvation. Before we get into all the talk about this movie, let's get through the one glaring thing that is different from this movie and kind of casts it out throughout the rest of the series is the absence of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, as we all know, he was the governor of California around this time, and he could not participate in any type of film. So, for him to actually be in this movie was essentially impossible. So, of course, they decided to have a CG look-alike for him. They had Rolling Kickinger play him, and they just CGI'd his face onto him. But the CG, even to this day, doesn't even look that great. I know Genesis did a better job. Like I said, this movie does take place in the future. Judgment Day has already happened. Back in 2003's Terminator 3, Judgment Day happened. The nuclear bombs fell, and the machines rose. But in this movie, they kind of took a step back. As we all know, Judgment Day happens on August 27th, 1997. But in this movie, they kind of retcon that by saying that, yeah, it's in 2003, like how in Terminator 3 it kind of been prophesized that, yeah, 2003 happens, it was just postponed. But this was the problem with movies that come out at a certain time. They're like, hey, let's set it in the future. Let's go like 10 years from now. So this movie, in the future, takes place in the year 2018. Just a quick question here, guys. Do you remember 2018, which was about, 3 years ago? Looking like this? Or this? Or had these guys walking around? I don't fucking think so. Let's get into the characters of this whole entire movie. We'll start off with Christian Bale's John Connor. Now, as we all know, I did have quite the heartwarming kind of, yeah, come on in. Let's bring Christian Bale as John Connor. It'd be perfect. Now that's been over how many years now since this happened, now you can kind of see the flaw in casting Christian Bale as John Connor. I mean, to me, he's still one of the greatest, but you gotta remember, he just got off of The Dark Knight, so there are moments when John is talking, and all you hear is that gurgly Batman voice. And if you guys don't know, I don't know if you guys do know, but if you don't, I'm gonna say it now. This is the movie that infamously had the Christian Bale meltdown on set. Yeah, the one where he was yelling at a crew member because he was fixing lights in the middle of a scene. This is that movie that this happened. I'm sure it's on YouTube, so just search up Christian Bale meltdown, and yeah, it's kind of a little comedic half the time, but on other times it's like you gotta remember he was trying to get his work done for the day and to, get obviously pissed off at that moment and then lash out at somebody. So, other than that, besides that, for him as his portrayal of John, it's it's kind of okay for me, but not quite there. I mean, like I said, Edward Furlong set the standard when it comes to John Connor. Nick Stahl, like I said, kind of came up in there, not too bad. And then as for Christian Bale, it just sounded like Batman in an apocalyptic world and decided to be called John Connor. And he's just taken over. And also in this movie, he's not even the leader of the resistance. I mean, he was prophesied as the leader of resistance, but he's taking orders from other fucking people. So much for being a fucking leader in this movie. Of course, his prophecy has come true. That everyone has started to believe him. That, yeah, these new Terminators are coming up, which pisses me off because of the fact that in the first two Terminator movies, they were T-101s, but they have to consistently go back to T-800s. Hell, even in Terminator 3, the Terminator was a T-850, for fuck's sakes. But, whatever. Other than that, I mean, Christian Bale did have that moment to say, I'll be back. Not quite the same impact, that's for sure. But, I mean, when it comes to Christian Bale's performance in this movie, I do kind of give it a, like a C, I guess you could say. Like, if I had to rate his performance out of 10, I'd probably give it, like, because he's trying, most likely a 7 out of 10 for his performance in this movie. But, like I said, this movie is kind of swooped under the rug, so, when you do watch it, you kind of hear Batman talking. The newest character in this whole entire movie is Marcus Wright, played by Sam Worthington. And I remember seeing the trailer to this movie and seeing Christian Bale's name pop up and expecting Arnold Schwarzenegger's name just to hear Sam Worthington. I'm like, what? Who the fuck is this guy? Well, if you guys don't know or haven't seen Avatar, he's the star in that fucking movie too. So he's a death row inmate who was convicted of murder, and he sells his body to science, which the science happens to be Cyberdyne Systems, which, that's a bad sign. And then, as far as he was concerned, he was dead and his body was just going to be donated to science, but then wakes up in 2018 in an apocalyptic world, and he doesn't know how the fuck this happened. How is he back alive? What year is it and whatnot, right? For Sam Worthington to come in and fill a massive shoe playing a Terminator, some sort of hybrid of a Terminator. Remember, this is the first Terminator that actually had organs still. A human brain, a human heart, the lungs, kidneys, organs, intestines, whatever, right? But, instead of bone, it's just, a endoskeleton. So for him to be in this movie and playing the character he's supposed to be playing someone who believes he's human and whatnot, but there are scenes that contradict themselves because of the fact that he is slammed into a fucking hunter-killer ship by another machine. How did he not fucking die from that? And then on top of that, in the same fucking scene as well, he falls, and how many times after he hits the water, how many times has he spun in that fucking water? I mean, and then gets up? Come on. Any human being would have been thinking, like, how the fuck am I still alive? But I guess not for him. For his makeup effects for his battle damage, where, half his face is fucked up, he's just a fucked up person. And they show the extent of his damage and he realizes he's a robot underneath his skin, is not the greatest. I remember that scene where he finally gets into Skynet, and even though the room is completely lit, it still is all covered up and too dark to see his damage. And I mean, like, I knew it was going to happen where, a person was going to play a Terminator and they're going to have half their face fucked up, but both their eyes are still intact. Other than that, like, for his performance, I kind of put it on the same level as Christian Bale's performance. But also at the same time, when you really think about the franchise as a whole after that, like I said, this movie got swept under the rug. So not only was he the first Terminator to have human organs, he's also the last Terminator to have human organs. So, I mean, for his performance, it's not too bad, but also a very forgettable Terminator at best. It's been established that Kyle Reese, pretty much impregnated Sarah Connor. So who are you going to play as Kyle Reese? Well, we have the late Anton Yelchin, and I think I butchered his name there. He plays Kyle Reese in this movie, a very young Kyle Reese. Now you gotta remember, Kyle was sent back from the year 2029, so obviously it makes sense that he's young in this. But to be possibly around 22, 25 in this movie makes no sense, because he was born after the war had started, like years after the war had started. So that would kind of land him in around, like, he was born maybe sometime between 2008 and 2010, or hell, even maybe 2005 to 2008. That still doesn't add up to how his age is. As him as a character as a whole, it's one of those. I know, like, I shouldn't bash on the actor. I know he was having a fun time, and I know he did enjoy this, playing this role. But I know when you have Michael Biehn playing Kyle Reese, that's some hard, big shoes to fill. And he didn't, like, his Kyle Reese essentially became, in a weird way, forgettable in a way. I mean, like, with the movie being swept under the rug, his Kyle Reese is forgettable. But also, if you don't sweep it under the rug, it's still forgettable. Like, I mean, did we really necessarily need to have that scene where he learned how to tie a fucking gun handle? No, we didn't need to fucking see that scene at all. And of course, the delivery of, come with me if you want to live was very damn weak in this one. No sense of urgency. I mean, like, when you hear Michael Biehn say it, and you hear Arnold Schwarzenegger say it in Terminator 2, man, there was no urgency. It was just like, come with me if you want to live. Like, you could have put some more urgency in that. So for his role in this, his performance in this movie, I can't really get behind. I'm not convinced that he's a John Connor or a Kyle Reese. I'm not convinced with it. Even at the time when I went to go see this movie, I wasn't convinced he was a Kyle Reese at all. Like, this is the guy that John sends back into time to protect Sarah Connor. I don't see it. Now we go from three characters that are, predominantly known in this whole entire movie to some other predominant characters who are very fucking forgettable in this movie. So I got a list here, so let's list them off here, shall we? Moonblood Gold playing Blair Williams. She saw way too much fucking screen time in this movie and became a love interest to Marcus. And she's not canon to anything in the whole entire franchise. She's not at all. I mean, she's a pilot, cool, but you're expecting her to, like, carry the mantle of resistance fighter throughout the rest of the series. No, I didn't fucking buy it. And I mean, even playing the video games like Dawn of Fate or Terminator 3, there's no Blair Williams in the movie, in those games, or even in the comics, except for the Terminator Salvation comics. And I can't get behind this character. She had way too much fucking screen time. And speaking of someone who had way too much screen time, let's go to people who had less screen time than she did. Like, let's go through the names of Helen Bonham Carter playing Serena Corrigan. She is actually revealed as the big bad of the whole entire movie, which was, like, even left field to me, because I didn't picture that at all. I mean, like, I was like, well, isn't she supposed to be in another fucking movie with Tim Burton here? What the fuck? I guess Danny Elfman kind of brought her in. But anywho, she's a dying cancer patient who works for Cyberdyne, and her, I guess, conscience is now the face and voice of Skynet, which just made no fucking sense to me. She was essentially just someone who was just trying to do her job, and you made her the big bad. She's Skynet? Nah, makes no fucking sense to me. Then we have Jetta Grace, who plays Star in this movie. I guess, the child, kind of cuteness factor of it, you know, like it's a child who doesn't even fucking talk. Forgettable. Honestly, to me, it's forgettable. She had no fucking, you know, like explosive fucking scene that put a point to have her in there. She just happens to be beside Kyle Reese through every step of the way, and I mean, like, what? She hands Marcus a flare? Fucking, okay, get the fuck out of here with that shit. And then, of course, Michael Ironside playing fucking, who is it? General Ashdown. God damn, man. Like, Michael Ironside is one of those really well-known actors, and it makes me wonder, like, was he promised a bigger role and didn't get it, or he just took this as a paycheck? Because I remember watching the movie, and I was like, what the fuck? Michael Ironside's in this? Oh, cool. He's probably going to be, you know, much more featured in this movie. No. Fucking not at all. We have Common as Barnes, who is essentially the biggest waste of fucking space in this whole entire movie. I remember they had interviewed all the cast, and like he was talking about, you know, how big his character is. And I mean, after rewatching this movie, and even back then watching this movie, I was like, he was a fucking throwaway character. I mean, he's essentially a throwaway fucking character, left, right, and center. I mean, like, yeah, he's like John Connor's right-hand man, but I mean, John Connor barely fucking needed him. Like, where the fuck was Barnes when he went and infiltrated Skynet? Where was he there? Nowhere. He wasn't even fucking there. Just Barnes was pointless, left, right, and center. And also, who else is pointless is actually Terry Crews' character, Captain Captain Jericho. Yeah, he's in the movie. He gets to say he's in a Terminator movie. For like a second. Yeah, he's like, as soon as John Connor fucking, I can't believe I almost said John Carpenter. John Connor goes up that fucking hideout in the beginning of the movie. He gets up there to, you know, radio in for backup or whatever, and then there's Terry Crews right beside him. He's dead. The one shot you see of him, and he's dead. What a fucking worthless fucking character that was. And going back to Terminator 3, there was a character I thought was one of the most useless fucking characters of all time, and this movie also came to fruition on that, which was fucking goddamn Bryce Dallas Howard's interpretation of Kate Connor, or Kate Brewster. I mean, in Terminator 3, she was played by Clara Danes. In this one, she's played by Bryce Dallas Howard. Of course, Kate Brewster is essentially probably, you know, the biggest waste of a character. I mean, like I said in my Terminator 3 review, if they had just taken her out and put Sarah Connor in, it would have made it all better. But also, I mean, she is relegated to nothing in this movie too. Oh, she does some fucking paramedic work? Cool. No one gives a fuck. She's pregnant? Cool. No one gives a fuck. That's my take on fucking Kate Connor or Kate Brewster. She was one of the most useless characters in this whole entire franchise. And I stand by it. The other big problem with this whole entire movie is the many, many, many throwbacks to the other three films, or specifically the other two films. I mean, the title of the title card of the whole entire movie is a resemblance to the first Terminator. The fact that they go back and say the same lines over and over again. The fact that when the T-800 is walking up the stairs like it's a big fucking deal. Even like the constant Terminator 2 references. They had to get Guns N' Roses, You Will Be Mine playing on her stereo. The Terminator luring John to come to him by saying, Connor, help! You know, like, oh, God. Way too many homages to the first two films, and it was mind-numbing, to say the least. We went from talking about pointless references to the other two films to pointless characters. Let's talk about the pointless goddamn machines in this fucking movie. Besides the T-600, which was mentioned in the first Terminator movie, the 600 series that had rubber skin, that was a great addition. We wanted to see that. Of course, we saw the T1 in action for like one fucking scene in this movie. You know, the machines that were established in the Terminator 3. And then you had these random machines. These machines that, you know, infiltrate Skynet, these little fucking drone things. Then you have this big ass fucking Megatron looking motherfucker who collects people. And of course you have your hunter killers, you have a bigger ship that's bigger than the hunter killer, and then of course you have these water Terminators that look like fucking eels or snakes or whatever. They were fucking pointless. And of course, motor Terminators. I never thought I'd ever see it. When I went to go see the movie in theaters, I was stunned to see that there's motor Terminators. They're in the form of a motorcycle. And of course, I love the one motorcycle, the motor Terminator that jumps over a bridge. I'm like, yeah, there's T2 reference. God damn it. Now, I know there's a small percentage of people who actually do enjoy this movie. It's the black sheep of the franchise. I mean, like, it's essentially like, you know, Halloween 3 where you didn't have Michael. You can still go ahead and enjoy this movie. For me, I can still go and watch this movie and remember that, yeah, this is when the future happens. But as a whole, and how the series continued on with this one, knowing what happened after, it's kind of hard to realize that this movie was the start of the inconsistencies of this franchise. You had Terminator 1, which started it all, Terminator 2, which was the best sequel of all time, and then Terminator 3, which was an unnecessary sequel, but was very much welcomed. And then you got this one, which, you know, was a sequel to Terminator 3, but then after that, it killed the franchise in such a way that Genesis started different, and then Dark Fate started different. So it was always a consistency to, whenever a new Terminator movie came out, let's try and make it a sequel to Terminator 2. So this one always gets fucking just shoved under the rug. And especially with the last two sequels that had come after this one. For my rating or my ranking of this video, when I first saw it, I gave this movie like a good 7.5 out of 10. But because of how much of a weak link it is to the franchise and how it's so fucking different, and people tend to just kind of skip over it. I mean, like, if you're going to have a Terminator marathon, what ones you're going to watch? Probably Terminator 1 and Terminator 2. Probably those ones. And then you're not even going to bother watching Terminator 3. I know some people will. I'm one of them. But then you won't watch Terminator Salvation. You'll just go straight to Genesis. So, as a ranking for me now, or as a rating for me now, it's a 5.5 out of 10. I mean, the action sequences are okay. John Connor being played by Christian Bale, like, it still kind of works at the time. It still hurts to know that he does his Batman voice. Sam Worthington does put up a good performance at best, but still, you know, kind of lacking, you know, filling the shoes of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Anton Yelchin, fucking, you know, not very believable as Kyle Reese, but as a younger Kyle Reese, okay, I can get behind. But of course, the fact that it's a 5.5 rating is because the pointless Terminators, the god-awful references to Terminators 1 and 2, and also the utterly useless characters that are in this fucking movie is just mind-boggling, to say it best. Where you had Terminator 1 and 2 who made sense of just side characters or nothing characters, and this one just, no, they're just straight up nothing characters. So, yeah, Terminator Salvation gets a 5.5 out of 10, and that is my review of Terminator Salvation. I know this is one of those movies that I know it's widely agreed upon that no one fucking likes, but I'm still interested. Like, what do you guys think of the movie? Did this movie drop the ball for you as well? Did you guys like it like I did at first and then kind of slowly not like it? Or do you guys actually still like this movie for what it is? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button and also subscribe for more content. Other than that, that's it from me, guys. This has been the Ginger Snaps here. My name is Steven, and I will check you guys out later.